All right, Melinda, welcome to coaching session. Right, you want to
Mm.
introduce yourself a little bit?
I'm Melinde, and I'm a recent fresh grad who just entered the workforce a few months ago. So I'm pretty
Okay.
new in this workforce.
Okay, how long already? How many months?
For 6 months, so since last year. So have been trying to juggle transiting from school to work.
Hmm.
So pretty 4 months to transit from
Okay.
being a student.
Right, okay, okay. And then this career, your first career, what's it about?
I'm
What are
doing
you doing?
risk advisory in one of Big Four, doing
Okay.
assessment to IT systems. So it's relatable to what I have been studying in school. I studied information systems back in school.
Okay, cool. So
Hmm.
what's your question, man?
So my question to Jason is actually to find out, like as a starter, as a fresh grad, how do I actually juggle transition, have a better transition from being a student to a working adult?
Right, okay. So I think the main difference between student and adult is the idea of results and performance rather than just effort. So a lot of times as a student, they put in effort for participation points and things like that. They put in effort. What you want to be able to do is that at work you want to be able to focus more on the performance part. And what does that mean? That means like the funny thing is that you never know whether you're performing well until your boss or your team members let you know.
Mm,
You may think you're putting in a lot of effort. You say you put in like what 10 upon 10 effort, but your boss and your team members can only see 5 upon 10. So
mm,
putting in 10 upon 10, but they see only 5, so guess what they will think? You're,
mm,
you're only doing 5,
yes.
right? So feedback is extremely important, and a lot of times you need to be able to have that open communication with your boss to be able to ask, for example, so when I'm doing this and all that, maybe you can help me to understand where am I at. And this is going to be a very powerful thing. Always use a ruler because sometimes your boss is not equipped to be able to tell you how you're doing. So they'll say that, Melinda, yeah, you're doing well. What the
Mm,
heck does well mean? Well means 5 upon 10 all the way to 10 upon 10. Doesn't tell me shit, right? So what you
mm,
want to do is to ask a ruler question, which is what from a scale of 0 to 10, in terms of 10 being really at the peak performance,
mm,
0 meaning that I'm slacking all the way really bad. Where am I now in this project, or where am I now currently? So every time you ask that question to your boss will help you understand, oh, Melinda, now you're at a 6, right?
mm,
And that's okay. Or Melinda, yeah, I think it's very good. You're at a 10. Fantastic. Now you have empirical data. Before that, you have what? You have just noise. You have vagueness that doesn't help you. So
mm,
when it comes to performance at work, you always need to be able to um, almost like tell, in Chinese we call it tell, like always adjust where you are at. And the best way to understand this is that if you are running 2.4 or 100 meters, you always have a clock, right?
mm,
You always have a time check and then you know where you are at. And you're very clear, oh, I want to hit here, I'm here now, I'm at a 12 seconds, I want to hit 10 seconds, for example. So it's always that measurement. So ask your boss to help you or your team members to help you from a scale of 0 to 10. Just want to find out, how do you rate my performance? And it will throw away all the vagueness that you have of like, oh, Melinda, you're doing very well. I see your effort. That is bullshit, right? Effort
yes.
doesn't equate to performance. You can put in a lot of
Mm,
effort, but that you are 5 upon 10, that means you're not putting enough.
mm,
Or you're putting in effort in the wrong places. So for example, give you an example, maybe your boss asks you, hey, can you do up this email? And this email you take like, wow, you're very concerned, you're very careful, and this email you take like 45 minutes,
mm,
right? And then it's a great email, but because it's 45 minutes, that's really bad performance.
okay.
Make sense?
Mm,
So always use a ruler to ask your boss and your team members where you are at. And the beautiful thing about the ruler, if they give you 6 upon 10, guess what? What's your next question? You want to guess?
how to go beyond six?
Yeah, so be more
Mm,
specific. Don't ask a very wide question, always ask very specific. So I'm a 6 now, boss. Can I just find out from you what it does it take to go to a 7?
mm,
So always just that. I've coached so many leaders, they are very vague in terms of your performance. Most of the time, they're like, oh, you're doing well, you're not doing well. Scully, in the performance review, you get a really bad rating. Then you'd be
mm,
like, how come? I put in so much effort, what the heck's happening? Because you
mm,
didn't, all this while you're running 2.4, you have no timing at all. you have zero clue. Make
Mm.
sense?
Yes.
So use the ruler in anything that you are uncertain about.
Mm. Got it.
Cool?
Yes. Cool.
Yes. So same thing. Your marks when you were younger in school and all that, your grades, your common assessment, you're always knowing where you're at, so that you don't suddenly fail out of nowhere. But at work, that's very possible. You can put in 10 upon 10 effort all the way. At the end of the day, performance review, your bonus and all that, you only have a 6 upon 10.
Mm.
And then you'd be like, oh my goodness, mind blow. Why on earth? Where did the 4 come from? Every time you're so encouraging and all that. And that's one of the things where it's very painful when you go into workforce and you don't have that kind of feedback.
Mm. Got it.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Great. So, many of the fresh graduate, like myself, probably they'll be thinking like, shit, we are at the very bottom. We are doing the most basic stuff, which is the
Saikang,
basic,
everything Saikang.
yeah, saikang. But so the question is like, how do we, as a starter, right, climb the corporate ladder? Because we probably will see our managers who have been there in the company for 6, 7 years, and that's cool. They are 6, 7 years in that environment, and they are probably the master. And then as a starter, you might feel scared
Yeah.
because compared to a 6, 7 years master in that company, and compared to a newbie like myself,
Mm,
yeah. So how do I actually uh manage these, the Saikan as a
yeah.
fresh grad, in the
Yeah.
company, and how do I manage like the master? How do I gain more knowledge from my field
Mm.
as a newbie?
Okay, so last time what was your CCA? Like, what was it? Drama, dance, what was it?
It was in sports and leadership in university.
Leadership University. Okay,
Mm.
and then sports. What sports was that?
Sports when I was secondary school,
Mm.
poly days. I used to play volleyball, more of
Okay.
the more intense workout.
Okay, well, then your arms must be really red. Okay, so volleyball, was that the first time you played volleyball?
Oh yes, in my life in
Yeah,
secondary
so
school.
you
Yes.
so you started in Sec 1,
Yes.
right? So when you're in Sec 1 and you're in Sec 4, the amount of knowledge you have in volleyball, I would say exponentially different,
Hmm. Yes.
right?
Correct.
Super different. You know so many more things because why? The schema or the synapses in your mind has already grown to areas where you don't know. So the
Mm.
most important thing when it comes to going in new in any industry, any organization, is being this thing called a sponge. You
Mm.
need to keep asking questions. Don't look like, wow, very, oh, got face value and all that. Oh, my colleagues never ask questions. I don't want to look stupid. That's the worst case you can do. You always ask questions all the time because why? You're trying to fill up all the voids. It's like
Mm.
it's like volleyball. Hey, why must we do this? What can we do in when they spike and all that? So you're always asking. There's always a void that you're trying to fill up, fill up, fill up. And every time you fill up, guess what happens? You get more and more confidence because your mind don't need to think so much. It's straight away there already. That's why it becomes muscle memory. At Sec 4, when you're playing, you don't need to figure out anything. You know what's going to happen. So asking question helps you to create that idea of filling up the voids that you have. And in 1, 2 years' time, if you ask many, many questions, right, that void, that mapping in your mind is going to look very, very different from where you started. But don't be
Mm.
afraid because of face value to ask a stupid question. Change the mindset that you have. There's no such thing as a stupid question. There's only curious questions. That's it. But be
Mm.
wise about it. Lah. Sometimes your question can be very long, and then some people will be like, hey, why is Melinda asking that question? Right? So sometimes understand when to ask that question. If everybody's damn
Mm.
busy and all that, and you ask one, hey, can I learn something? Wow, everybody explode at you, man. So try to
Mm.
find ways and don't only think that you can only ask your boss, always ask your team members who are around
Mm.
and be very respectful because you're taking their time. But the
Yes.
best thing about it is that when you are so sincere and thankful about them sharing with you to fill up those voids, they will want to help you even more, right?
Mm.
So don't be an ass to say that, wow, ask, then never say thank you. Well, always be appreciative of people. So that's number one. Always asking questions, always asking as
Mm.
much as possible. And feedback, coming back to the first one, if you ask too many questions, some people might be irritated.
Yes.
So you need to figure out of the 5 team members, Sally and Joe are
Mm.
good at answering my questions and they feel okay because we have a relationship. John and Eric, however, are so senior to a point where they feel that they almost put you in intern level and you're wasting my time. So also know, try to gauge who are those people you can actually go to, who are those people you go to if it's something a bit more high level or a bit more serious or a bit more like, wow, okay, this one really must ask John because he's really good at that. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's the first part, asking a lot of questions and all that. The second part, ask opportunities.
Mm.
See, at the start, right, if you don't know anything in volleyball, you need to be doing everything. Everything.
Yes.
Everything possible. So, for example, cleaning the ball, for example, doing the stores and all that. When you do
Mm.
everything, you start to know a lot of things. You start to know that, hey, it's 15 minutes to do this. I assume it took 1 hour. So when somebody tells you, hey, it took 1 hour for me, that's total BS. So the
Mm.
more opportunities you ask for, the more you're able to feel that learning. Not just here,
Mm.
but you actually do it. So when you're doing it, so same thing. I can give you textbook and textbook about riding a bicycle, doesn't work. Cool? So it's really about
Mm.
asking questions and asking opportunities. And when you ask opportunities, imagine this, right? If your plate is now 9 upon 10, you're full already. If you ask opportunities, what happens?
It'll be even more on the
10
plate.
upon 10, 11, 12.
Mm.
So you need to be able to go through that. And if you want to learn the best and you want to be the best in your industry, climb as fast as possible, you need to not be afraid of going 15 upon 10. Go shit face crazy. That means ask a lot, and you're the only person who's like, wow,
Mm.
actually, everything Melinda is willing to do, Melinda is willing to go for it. Yes, it looks like people are going to take advantage of you. That's okay. Why? Because you're learning. It is
Yeah.
worth it if you're learning and different opportunities. Oh, can I take minutes for that meeting that you're going for? I would love to learn. Yeah, somebody needs to take minutes, of course. Sure, go for it. But then that means you need to stay back later to do your other work.
You're right. Mm.
Make sense?
Yes.
So same thing. Same thing. If you're in volleyball, you look at a junior coming to you and says, "Oh, can I
Mm.
help you? Can I help you?" How do you feel?
I will try to be that senior that I always wanted to have.
Exactly, right? So
Yes.
you're happy with that. Compared to you, somebody come in, no questions, and don't want to ask for anything, don't want to help anything. How do you feel
Mm.
about that person?
Probably you come here you didn't go through any of the progress, any process to learn more.
Yeah, yeah, and you're here for just CCA points, that's it,
Yes.
right? So in work we call it disengaged.
Mm.
That's called disengaged staff. In CCA, in school, they just want CCA points. At work, there are some
Mm.
people who just want pay.
Got
You
it.
give me more work, it is not worth it because whatever
Mm.
it is, I still get 2 CCA points. At work, whatever it is I do it, I still get X amount of salary per month. So why do more? But that is capping your growth, so never think about it.
Mm. Got it. So back to that question, right? Is there
Mm.
any like strategy that can ask when it comes to questioning and questioning of your when you want to ask for questions from your
Yep,
bosses? Like, is there
yep,
any strategy to ask even like Eric, John, the
yep,
five of my peers, for
yep,
example?
yep.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think the best way when people see you, the teachers are most energized sharing with people with two characteristics. Number
Mm.
one is they're extremely very respectful and very clear about how people feel. Oh, it's like if you start asking, you see them irritated, you already know. You can
Yes.
see already, right?
Yeah.
So be respectful means what? You also need to be sensitive.
Mm.
Respect their time. Because them spending an hour with you is an hour not doing the work.
Mm.
So how do we do that? If your friend helps you out with something, what do you do?
I will look at my plate to strategically look at what I can squeeze 1 hour for him or her.
Yeah, so that's that. But also if your friend keeps helping you, what do you want to do? You want to help them back, right?
Mm.
You want to appreciate them, right? So how do you usually appreciate your friends?
Spend quality time with them
Okay, that's
and
one. What else?
buy them a coffee
Yes.
casually. Mm.
Yeah. So these are the things where you buy curry puff, you buy things because, hey, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Guy, so few people actually do that. So when you actually do that and says that, oh, I just want to thank you for it, it's just a small gesture. Don't blow it up until it's like, wow, that coffee is the biggest thing in the world, right? Wow, this one
Yeah.
don't need to. Just appreciate them. So that's one, right? That's one in terms of being so respectful. The second one is the curiosity.
Mm,
Curiosity, and always have that curiosity. Always be figuring out like, hey, why did it happen and all that? Because once you keep asking those questions, once you're curious, people know
mm,
that you're a car that's moving rather than a car that's stationary. Moving
right.
means what? That means you're always asking, it's like you're not taking things just as face value, you're always trying to figure out. And when the curiosity and you have enough synapses and schema, guess what? You can start to value it.
Mm,
So when you're so curious and all that, it helps you to build. And why do you want to learn all these things? Because in everything, it is about giving back to them. It's about helping
mm,
them out. So helping your seniors out, helping your boss out, helping to give what insights. Hey, can I just suggest this? So when there's no really way to ask a question, right? You ask in the most sincere way possible. Hey, John, do you have some time? I just want to ask you this. Is this a good time to catch you? Or is there a better time for you?
mm.
Cool?
Got it. Cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So the following question, like, once we always ask for opportunities, and the skill will just keep increasing till we maybe reach like a master level. After 5 years, you realize that you're level 50. It's a
Yep,
game
yep.
level 50. And
Mm,
then how do you manage your burnout? Because along the way, you definitely keep, like a kite. You're so
yep,
tight, and
yep,
then you definitely need to have let go of certain like force to make
yep,
yourself look better. So how do you manage
definitely.
burnout along the way while you are going to level 50?
Yeah, so burnout is quite complex. There are a few other things. I think if there's one thing I talk about burnout is this idea that you are doing things that drain you emotionally here. So it's in your heart, not your mind. So it's emotionally you're drained, like kryptonite to Superman, It's like, wow, painful. But people can see that you're doing a very good job. That means in results and performance, maybe you're a 9 upon 10. So that's
Mm,
scary. Managing burnout is one of the ways is to understand that if you do things that's energizing for you,
mm,
you don't feel that burnout. If you do things that's draining to you, you feel
mm.
that burnout. So what is energizing? That means, for example, in the few months that you're there already, are there some things that you look forward to,
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Some,
Yeah.
and there are some things that you're okay doing, but you don't look forward to.
Yes.
So some people's admin reports, the things that I
Mm,
just have to copy and just have to do, right?
mm,
So when you're managing your burnout, understand that you need to figure out what gives you life and what sucks the life out of you. If you're trying to manage that, try to figure out how you can be on projects that give you life, or while within the day or within the week, find ways that if you are down, find ways that you can perk yourself up by doing things that give you life, that energize you. And that's how
got
you
it.
manage yourself. Don't go crazy and like, wow, this whole week I want to do everything that's killing me. Wow, I hate that admin, so I'll do everything that one week. Wow, you'll go down to a depth of abyss that is going to be so painful, very hard to come up. But when you think about school, like last time when you're in, well, maybe you like geography a lot. Wow, when you do geography, you have a lot of energy, right? Let's
Yes.
say like you enjoy, wow, I love the everything country rock line and all that surface runoff, and I love that. That will spill over to the other things that you don't like doing, like
Mm,
history. For me, it's Chinese, right? So there's an overflow. That overflow is something that you can use and leverage. So think about all the different tasks. There are some things that plus, some things that are minus in terms of energy level. So when you're trying to focus on that week, trying to see, oh, these things energize me. Maybe I do this. If I'm feeling burnout, I go and go to the things that energize me. So you manage that.
mm,
The larger burnout is really the idea that maybe you're just not fit for it,
mm.
right?
True.
So you're a
Yeah.
sprinter, but you're tasked to do everything that's marathon. But you're built
Mm,
to be a sprinter. That's a larger burnout where you need to try first, and you need to try 1, 2, 3 years. Then you figure out whether, hey, actually, is this for me? Because I can almost guarantee a lot of your people who do your exact same degree in the next
mm,
5, 10, 15 years, maybe
mhm.
50% of people will never ever touch that.
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah, in many of the seniors. Yes.
Yeah, they won't do that. They do something else. So the degree is only because they open the door for you to reach where you are now. Other than that, it's okay. Yeah. So figure
Mm.
out that you can. So know that there's flexibility to change your career every now and then.
Mm. Yeah, talking about career switch, right? Because
Yep.
I'm still a new starter in
Yep.
this career. That you know, many people like among you know the Great Resignation this
Yes.
term. Many
Yep.
people like myself would want to quit their job for whatever reasons. It could be like the pay. They want to jump into different companies to get their
Yep.
pay increased as much as they can.
Yes.
The most efficient way to increase their pay instead of internally talking to their
Yep.
boss, can you please increase my pay?
Yep.
So this great resignation, this situation as a starter, right? How do I know that it's time to leave for whatever reasons I have? Or should I still continue to be leveling up to level 50 5 years later?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I think along the way it is helpful to maybe in 2 years into your career to actually go and start to ask other firms, what is your value?
Mm,
You will never know. So I recently coached somebody who suddenly, after 14, 12 or 14 years, right? She asked, and her value is two, three times more. Imagine
mm.
that, lah.
Well, yes, I
But
remember
she
that. Yes.
never, yeah. So imagine now she earned 5K, now she can earn 15K. And she could
Mm,
have been earning that for long, long time.
true.
So number one is understanding the value, right? Number
Mm,
two is really in a career, you either go just for stability and pay, like our parents and our parents'
mm,
parents. They don't care about joy of work. They don't care about fulfillment. It's just about
yes.
just getting enough money to live in Singapore. This generation, our generation, is really the idea of fulfillment. If you
Yes.
are going towards that fulfillment, that you feel that there's something inside you that you can really give to the world, but you
Mm,
don't know what that is, then that fulfillment route is really see every job that you feel as tasting a new dish. You're just tasting it and you see whether this is something that, yeah, I feel that, wow, I can really talk so much about laksa because I really enjoy it. Or this one, chicken
mm,
rice, no, not really much, but wow, chasa sour fun, yeah, definitely can. So it's the
yes.
idea that you need to taste it. You can
Mm,
never, you can interview a million people that are doing that new job and you still not know.
mm,
You must taste it. So one is to ask. That means ask your value. When you ask your value in the market would tell you. If you are at the currently you're really enjoying what you do, then you have leverage. That means you talk to HR, your boss, I really, really want to carry on. However, I got this offer. It's easier for them to match it than them to suddenly you have zero, nothing, and you just ask for a pay rise. Then they're like, for what? Then they'll give you minimal,
mm,
right? So if you really enjoy what you're doing right now and it fulfills something inside your heart, it energizes you, and then you like just maybe the issue is only pay, and then you go for it, then you carry on, right?
mm,
If you feel that at this company I can't do anything that I really enjoy, I really feel energized, then it's time to leave. So there are two main things. That one is pay, and the other one is that fulfillment and all that. It's a balance. Some people really, because of family needs, pay is the most important. I just need the stability. My parents are sick and all that, or I'm supporting them. I just need that now. Then after that, then oh, some people it's like, yeah,
mm.
everything's settled. That's quite okay. I need to find fulfillment.
Got it.
Yeah,
Mm.
but long
So,
time more lah. Don't worry, man. But keep, but
yes.
the issue is that you keep trying to figure out.
Mm,
Whenever you ask for more opportunities, you're opening more doors.
mm,
You're
true.
opening more doors means that you're tasting different food. Like,
Mm,
hey, wow, somebody asked you to join this team who's doing this. It's like, wow, so interesting. I never knew that there was this industry or got such job like that, right? So when you go into that, you start tasting it. It's like, hey, I could see myself doing that. That's why opportunities, opening all the doors, help you to taste as much food as possible, so that one day in your life you'll be like, those things I've tried, I don't like it. These are the things I feel that I can really value at. But you must taste it. You don't taste it, you'll never know.
I see. So talking about opportunities, right? I
Mm,
know that you can stretch yourself as much as you can, and you will
yeah,
lead to burnout eventually if you don't. But I know the difference between you have the spark or not to have a spark, your fulfillment in
yeah,
your jobs. But there will still be times where you feel down, even though your work is something that it sparks you, or it
yeah,
motivates you,
yeah.
a lot of opportunities, a lot of abundance of opportunities given to you. But how do you know
Mm.
that it's time to rest? Like, how do you remind yourself it's time to rest? Even though you have the spark, but you're so tired, but eventually you'll go to a burnout, even though there's a spark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one is pure self-awareness. The best analogy I give is that if I really love running marathons, right? Even after I finish a marathon, I will look, I will feel what? I feel physically very tired, but
Mm,
emotionally very high. I want to run the next marathon. I want to run the next one. If I'm really legit crazy sell on into marathons. So there is definitely an emotional energy, but there's
mm,
also a physical energy. That
mm,
physical energy, different marathon runners will be different. So you need to actually see yourself. Sometimes it's like, wow, really, my burnout is like that. I can see certain patterns in the past when I'm in volleyball or I'm in council or in leadership positions. I see those same patterns coming up. Then be careful because maybe that pattern falls off a cliff and you don't recover for a very long time. Some people don't really need that. They will say they're stressed, 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 but then they're okay,
yes.
right? Some people
Correct.
they're stressed, they're really stressed, they go down, they don't come back for 3 months.
Mm,
So you need to be self-aware about your kind of burnout is what kind. That physical burnout, how much can you take? You're
mm,
really not sure until you see your past and you see whether or not are these patterns are coming up again. Because human beings, very interestingly, as human
mm,
beings are very much created by patterns. Your patterns in life. And that's why when you look back in the past, you will see a lot of patterns that help you to
mm,
understand why you do what you do now. So
mm.
the
So,
only way I can help you with that is gauge your own level of burnout. And the only way is that self-awareness and reflection back in your
mm,
life. Yeah. Are
okay.
you the kind of that when you burn out, you really go down and then for a while? Or you kind of like,
Uh, I try to have work life integration. So
okay,
for me, I might not have self awareness in terms of that because I already have integrated my work and my normal life. So maybe I need to work on my self awareness because my burnout is something that I might not be aware. Just
okay,
eventually one day I woke up, I feel like wow, damn sian. Like
right,
even though the work that I'm doing is really that I'm interested in, it have my
yeah,
fulfillment, but
yeah,
just that one fine day that I suddenly felt that I cannot do this.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Mm.
quite normal, just to share, when it comes to this kind of things. And some people just take a day, some people take a month, some people take a year, right? And it's
Mm.
different for different people. So yeah, you just have to be self-aware. I can't really help you on that one. You just have to take note of how you feel about certain things. And when you're going down there and all that, try to see what triggers you based on that.
Right.
And different people have different triggers lah. So some people, for example, I know people that when they work and they're okay with going through all the shit, and when they work because they always think about the people, my team members, right?
Yes.
So it could be the team is the one that energizes you, that's a source of energy. Another person, it's not about the team, it's about the cause. Am I doing this
Mm.
for the right cause? And that's why, because of the cause, it energizes me, it excites me on my journey. So you need to figure out what it is. Some people are people person, some people are, yeah, cause, some people are different.
Mm. Right, right. So
Yeah,
talking about self-awareness, I
yeah,
know that one of the way is to find to actually speak to like industry, other company when you apply for other jobs to know your self-worth. But
yeah.
while you are happy in your company, is there other ways to find self-worth besides so-called interviewing a new job, which is one of the ways?
Self-worth, like what? What do you mean by self-worth?
Self-worth like I know that some of the self-worth can also be like performance review from your
Mm-hmm.
bosses or peer
Yeah,
review to
yeah.
know that your value is in certain level.
Mm-hmm.
uh so while you are having like performance review from your coach, from your peers, and then maybe job interviews to find out your worth in the industry.
Yeah.
So what sort of how other what other self-worth can we actually find out while
Mm,
we are still happy in the company?
mm. So when you talk about self-worth, why is that important?
Um, it's important to me because like it's something that fulfills me, right? When I wake up, when I do a job that makes me feel fulfilled, I know where I
Yeah.
stand. My self
Mm,
worth. I know that my um my my presence in the team can actually be value added to the project.
yeah. Yeah.
So this is my understanding of self worth. Like when I wake up, I love
Okay.
the job I do, fulfillment, and then I know that I'm worthy to be value adding to the team and not a burden.
Mm,
Hmm.
okay. So I think
It's a very deep question.
yeah, a bit. So okay, so when it comes to this kind of thing about self-worth, it's a bit complex because some people will be like, I know where I stand and that's okay. I don't need external. Everything's internal. As long as my compass is there and set my true north is there, it doesn't matter what people feel about me,
Hmm.
right? So those are the people who get their self-worth from am I doing what I am supposed to be doing, right? There's another
Right.
group of people who just need the idea of understanding how the external parties feel about me, right? And that's the idea of like affirmation. That's the idea of recognition. That's the idea
Hmm.
of people sharing with you. So,
Right.
which one do you think you are a little bit more, external or internal?
Actually, it depends. On certain days, I feel internal. I will go with the internal, but
Yeah.
some days I feel external because the job that I'm doing, the nature of it is, um, customer facing.
Mm,
So one of my KPI is actually is optional. That
yeah.
client actually give you appraisal, and that the appraisal actually stand some KPI percentage.
Mm,
So on some days, external validation is important.
yeah.
But some days when I'm doing like paperwork, just myself and the paper,
Mm,
I wouldn't be possibly be thinking about other people. They think
mm,
about me. So just myself. Yeah. So it's really dependent,
yeah.
external and internal on some days.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Mm.
so I can address the external one. Um, so when it comes to external, if the people actually give you feedback and you say that it's
Mm.
optional, are you able to ask them to give you feedback?
Yes.
You're able to. Have you asked
Mm.
before?
To my coach, to my peers, yes, but to client is optional.
Okay. So if have
Mm.
you ever, would it be bad or would it be okay if you ask the client to give you feedback?
Most of the time, I don't do that
Okay.
because
Why?
point of contact will probably be my mentor, the project lead. So the
Okay.
project lead will probably be the point of contact. So anything like complaints or good things about that person is probably through the point of contact of that my team lead. Yes.
Okay. So your team is your senior lah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then your senior has the key to whether or not you get feedback or not.
Correct.
She can very simply ask, hey, can you just give us some feedback?
Mm.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. So we talk about external, right? So one way is to really understand the impact that you have, right? So
Mm.
self-worth can come from the idea of people validating you. So which could be your clients, could be your team members and all that. We just talk about clients. If you can actually try to convince your team lead that, and you can say it in such a way that, hey, feedback is extremely important to me. I want to grow as fast as possible. And
Mm.
one way is to get empirical feedback. And one way I learn the best is be able to actually hear from the clients. Hey, Jim, can you help me to be able to just ask them how did Melinda do in this project?
Mm.
So you will get
Yeah.
empirical data from your clients, right? They can be
Mm.
bad and good. So, and they can then basically feedback is good for you because then you can grow more, right?
Right.
But if you're not getting any feedback, you're in the dark. You're
Yes.
closing your eyes, you're hitting everything, hoping that you hit 10 different lights, but actually you hit only three. You're not sure. You will never know,
Mm.
right? So ask, but position it in such a way that it's for your learning, not because while you like, I want to be proud and all that, because you want to grow. Every senior and every boss wants somebody in their team to be so fired up with growth because that means you are growing faster than the rest. That means in the long run, I don't need to handhold you so much. So
Right.
position anything that you want when it comes to this kind of thing as growth. Okay, so that's
Mm.
for your clients. For your team members and for your leaders or your seniors, also ask them this question. So this is the question to ask, right? This is about pull feedback,
Mm.
right? Rather than they have to give you feedback, right? So
Right.
you say something like this: Hey John, I know I'm not perfect. Is there anything that I'm doing that okay, let me rephrase that.
Mm.
Hi
Sure.
John, I'm not perfect. What is one thing I can do more of or less of to make it easier to work with me?
Mm. Got it.
What is one thing I can do more of or less of to make it easier to work with me?
Mm.
Right? And you start off with, I know I'm not perfect. The reason why is because you give them the open door to give you positive feedback and negative feedback. And that's that validation also, Melinda. And you will see, and the beautiful thing about this is that they will tell you things that you never thought is a strength. It's easy for
Mm.
you. Maybe it's the way that you see numbers fast. Maybe it's the way that you make the client feel respected. These are all things that you will never know. And it
Mm.
helps you to, it's almost adjust your effort. So always ask this pull feedback. What is one thing I can do more of or less of to make it easier to work with me? Right?
Mm.
The thing about it, just be preempt. People will only give you good feedback. They will never give you bad feedback. So you already preempt that. Melinda, no lah, you're very good. And then you what? So what you do? You wait there? You stop there? No, you don't. You push more.
Yeah.
Hey, you prompt them. Because why? The fear that they have is like, wow, if I tell Melinda how bad she is, she sucks big time for this part, right? She might, what, blackface me for the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Sour
Yeah.
the relationship. So what do? Even before you say that, you preempt that. So you say that, hey, Jim, um, for me, growth is so important, and the people I'm closest to are the ones that really tell me as is. He tell me straight up,
Mm.
right? Shoot from the hip and tell me straight and directly where are the areas. And I always find that those people who are direct to me, I build a stronger relationship.
Mm.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
So you preempt that fear of souring the relationship by telling them that if you give me feedback, our relationship is even stronger.
Mm.
So never stop at no lah, it's okay lah, Melinda, nothing lah, you're very good, you're very pleasant to work with, like what BS, right? Ask them and but give them the confidence that it's not going to sour the relationship at all.
Got it.
Cool. So
Mm.
that's where you get feedback from both your team members and your boss or your leaders, and then also your clients. The more you get feedback, the more you just know where you are. And the beautiful thing about it, it helps you with your self-worth, but it
Yeah.
also helps you to understand how to adjust as much as possible.
Mm.
Feedback is your coach. And I share this. This is very interesting.
Okay.
Feedback is vitamins to the humble, but poison to the proud.
Mm. Wow.
So if you're proud, you don't like feedback. It feels weird. It feels like, why are you telling me this? You are like, wow, very 丢脸, like, very like
Yes.
shameful, That's all the proud talking. But if you're super humble on this side and you be like, yeah, feedback is vitamins to the humble, which means it helps you even better. Imagine this,
Mm.
any sports coach will never see you. Let's say you do volleyball. The coach will never be like, okay, 6 months later, I tell you what's wrong with you on the first game.
You can't. Yes.
Die already. Immediate feedback is the most important, right?
Mm.
So that helps you also with the self-worth because it helps you to understand where am I performing better, where are the things that people see as my strength. It helps you to adjust also the whole idea of your career. Where are the
Mm.
things that come naturally to me? I feel so natural, but then wow, that person feels that, hey, Melinda put in so much effort. Actually, no,
Mm.
you do only 1/10 effort. But for the performance, it's so great.
Mm.
So that's external. External, ask from clients, ask from team members, and ask from your boss.
Mm.
Internally, it's a bit more challenging. And it
Mm.
comes back to a very simple thing, right? The idea of what makes you fulfilled in life, what makes you happy, right?
Right.
And if it's friends and if it's relationships and you see yourself in the always giving so much for your relationship, then relationship is the key for you to find that level of like, if I die tomorrow, it's the relationship that I've built. Some people,
Mm.
if I die tomorrow, it is the impact I have, how many lives I've changed. Some people, if I die tomorrow, I want to be known as the principled person that speaks as is.
Mm.
Different things. So you need to figure out what on earth is your inner compass. And
Mm.
one way to look at it is to look at the past. What are some of the things that when you look at your past, it helps you to understand? And the exercise I do for some of my coaches is this thing. If you were to really die tomorrow, really,
Right.
Choi, but that's how I feel. That's how I think also. That's why I'm doing all these TikTok. Because why? If
Mm.
I die tomorrow, I want to impact as many people as possible. And that's me.
Mm.
Impact is a big thing for me. So if you die tomorrow and you write your own eulogy and you write what it is, it's never about money. It's about
Mm.
something else that will rise up that's more important than money. And that
Right.
will give you a clue to your inner self-worth. If you can say that, wow, Melinda is a person who's always there for me, a true trusted friend. Let's say this that. Then your self-worth comes from there,
Right.
the internal one. And the funny thing about it is when you're dying, or when you're dead, or when you're gonna die, it's never about material things, it's never about money. It's always about people,
Mm.
and it's something about people. And that
Right.
helps you center yourself. Make sense?
Mm. Yes.
Okay,
Definitely.
cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I guess we we don't have time anymore.
Mm,
Yeah. But can I have one final question?
sure thing, sure thing. Go for it.
Okay. So how do you make a balance between self-validation and other people's validation?
What do you mean by self-validation? That means like
Mm.
is it coming back to self-confidence, self-worth?
Yes, correct. Correct,
Okay.
correct. So yeah, often like getting so many feedbacks, you have
Yep.
to learn how to filter yourself to
Yep.
certain comments that is not relevant to you. So how do
Yep.
you manage or balance internal self-validation and external validation? Because you need both to excel. So how do you
Yep.
make a balance between both self-validation and external validation?
Okay. So when it comes to
Mm.
feedback, one very important thing is that treat every feedback as data. It's just
Mm.
data to you. So imagine Melinda incorporate your business, right? So
Right.
imagine your business and every feedback is data points. So when it comes to data points, you let's say you do ice cream and waffles. For you, you need to be able to know that okay, this feedback is like, hey, how come why the light so bright? And or some people is like, hey, why you have this kind of flavor? Whatever it is as a business, you get as much feedback as possible. It's just data points, right?
Right.
It helps you to make a better decision of what you want to be. And if you're an ice cream waffles organization or company,
Mm.
you need to know of all the things, the feedback, what is the one thing that you really want to do? What is that one thing? So
Mm.
take feedback as data, not as directives that you should change. Because not all feedback is something that you should take fully.
Yes. Yes.
So
Mm.
be wise about the feedback, still be extremely appreciative when people give you feedback. Make sure that when people give you feedback, they don't have a bitter aftertaste when giving you feedback. But it doesn't mean that you have to straight away act on it. It is data points for you. Then look back in yourself and look back in terms of what you feel that you have the greatest value at. How do you feel that you are working? So
Mm.
coming back this idea of work, right? I'm going to leave you with this. There are two main principles. One is
Right.
results. You
Mm.
must always push for world-class excellence. And the other one is relationships. People want to be able to work with you. Sometimes the feedback is about the results, and then you listen to it and then you can grow. Sometimes it's about relationships.
Right.
So relationships, if you say, for example, oh, I'm actually very direct. I'm always direct. You don't like it too bad, right?
Okay.
That will affect relationships, and
Mm.
then you need to change. So relationship is about what? The team before I. You need to figure out the team before I. What are some of the things that you cause other people to be negative about?
Mm.
So coming back, results and relationships, try to figure out this. Look at it in such a way that these two are the most important pillars at work. All the feedback comes in. Yes, you might be a very quiet person, relational, right? And people say that, hey, you need to talk more. Yes, it could be for your visibility and all that, but it doesn't mean that you need to be the life of the party like John. Like maybe John
Mm.
come in straight away, tell a joke, everybody's there. Everybody laugh. You might not be that kind, and you're okay with that.
Mm.
So be clear about who you really are and look back in the past. What kind of different ways have you shown up? And when you shown up,
Mm.
for example, if you're not the life of the party, then it's okay. Then what kind of person are you? And know that this is you. If this is very much you, and you don't really move very far from who you really are.
Mm.
So feedback's important to understand, but yet yeah, internally you need to understand who you are. And reflection is always a good way. Reflecting on the past scenarios, how do you show up? And why
Mm.
is it, hey, how come I feel so drained when I'm talking to new people? Oh, then that's okay. Then write it down somewhere.
Okay, got it.
Cool.
I think
Coming back, self-awareness.
I need to keep a journal in all this to have more self-awareness.
Yes, yes. So that's very helpful to be able to
Mm.
write down as much as possible about self-awareness.
Mm.
Especially one good way is to write down incidents that's happened. So what are some of the incidents that's happened, and then how do you react to it? And then figure out why you react in a certain way.
Mm. Got
Cool.
it. Yes. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you
I
so much
think
for all your questions, Melinda.
I hope it helps. Like, it helps me definitely. But I
Yeah.
also hope that it will help more people of my situation, which is a fresh grad who
Yes.
hasn't been like one full year, and I
Yeah.
think going to the workforce is like for the first time for the first full time job is actually very
Scary, man.
scary. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
scary to me, and I've been asking a lot of my seniors along the way, like, what are the tips, what are the strategy? They can't
Yeah.
really tell me much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to really figure out on our own.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Mm.
hope that, so I really thank you for being so
Thank
open
you.
that other
Mm.
people can learn from you, because the
Mm.
whole idea is that um, the more you can do these kind of things shows that you are more on the humble side rather than the ego and the proud side. Because so
Mm.
what if people see me as negative or a little bit off? That's okay. As long as I'm learning throughout, I am okay with asking silly questions at work, right?
Yes.
So it's the idea that humility will spur your growth rather than being proud and like, no, I don't want to talk about this, don't want to talk about that. So I thank you for the opportunity that everybody else can learn
Thank you.
from your situation. All right,
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much,
Melinda.
Jason.